as always, we're going to start with our general non-spoiler thoughts, and then we'll jump into some spoilers. So, my general thoughts on the episode, I'll go ahead and start. I thought this episode was just another great episode of this show. And this show just seems to be getting better and better every week. And similar to how I felt about Mandalorian Season 2, it's really shocked me because for the most part, other than a couple episodes, Season 2 of Mando just got better and better every week, it felt like. So, man, Disney Plus is absolutely killing it. Marvel's absolutely killing it. Kevin Feige, man, this episode and just what he's doing with this show in general proves that he is just a mastermind. And really, I think Feige, what he's done with the Marvel Universe alone is something that I don't think any movie studio heads or studio producers have ever done in the history of cinema. It's just incredible. Obviously, this is a TV show, but it's still in the cinematic universe. So shout out to Feige for continuing to kill it. And this episode really shines through. There's some things that happen in this episode. That's one main reason I wanted to mention Feige is because there's some reveals that happen in this episode that connect to the rest of the Marvel Universe in a big, big way, and even in ways that we weren't expecting it to. And so I just love to see the vision of where he's going and the whole Marvel team. And I love this episode. I thought it was fantastic on so many fronts. More great character moments as well. And this episode was fantastic. Mo, what was your general thoughts?
Dude, more things are happening. And it's ridiculous. And on top of that, I'm going to piggyback off what you were saying with Feige and what he's been doing, what he's been cooking up at the studios, is he's finally doing what a lot of fans have wanted us to have, which we'll get into that later. But I'm just saying,
yeah,
finally,
yeah,
holy cow, and it's just such a relief. It just gives a lot of hope into the future of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes,
I think it's a great step in the right direction. And then this episode, oh geez, this episode. So I was telling a friend, it went from here, episode 1, 2, and then it just climbed up. It was just climbing the chart. Episode 4 was really good, and then all of a sudden, they just said, screw the ladder. I'm going up. I'm going up more than that.
On episode 5.
This episode was so good. Yes. The whole way, you're on the edge of your seat thinking, what's like everyone was on edge.
Yes.
The whole episode.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, this was just such an entertaining and such a fun episode. Yes. And definitely my favorite right now. And that's saying a lot because I've loved the episode so far. This is so good. Yes. This is so good. And I hate that I have to wait a week to watch the next episode. It's just not cool. It's not right.
No. Yeah, as we've said numerous times, this show, if you could just binge it in one, I think it'd be fantastic. But I also understand the week to week, the building intrigue. It's a smarter business move. But yeah, so that's kind of our general thoughts on the episode. We both loved it, as you can see. And we are highly anticipating to see where the show is going to go from here. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and jump into some spoilers for the episode. So if you have not seen episode 5 of WandaVision, click off, go watch the episode and come back, or skip to the next section of the podcast if you're listening on audio. And you've been warned. So full spoilers ahead. Let's just jump into this. So like we said, we're not going to do a full rundown. But, man, the first big reveal of the episode happens roughly within the first 10 to 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. And that is the huge reveal that Wanda stole Vision's body. That shocked me. So that was a question I didn't think would get answered till the later part of this series. But bro, when they showed that camera footage of her going in, as they were kind of, because leading up to this, they're kind of Sword is studying more of what she's done and what's going on. And so she walks straight into the building. I mean, looking menacing on the footage camera, security camera, and just destroys all these sword people and gets his body. So,
And you got to remember that Vision's body has been with Sword, technically, if you want to think about it, for 5 years and about a month.
yeah. And I didn't realize that, by the way. Because they never show where his body goes after, Thanos kills him.
So ever since Infinity War, it's they've had the body. So they've had the body for a while doing research on it. And what I'm kind of thinking is that maybe, Wanda is like, she's just so stubborn and like she just needs to bring her man back. Or I didn't even know he had like a dying will, but
I didn't either.
They might use him for they might have tried to use him for a weapon. So that's why she might have been like no, like
right. Yeah,
but you never know.
And I've heard those thoughts of maybe why she was going to get his body was because she didn't want them to use him as a weapon, or it was something where they literally just had his body and she just was like, I need my man back.
We might be able to see more like of the real parts of the clips, like later.
Yes,
because they showed like little clips of it. Like we might get the full story, like full point of view, full story.
Yes. And the big question I want to ask you is, so do you think that she, and then we'll move on to a next big thing that happens in the episode, but do you think that she like revived his body with her powers, or some people are thinking that she made a deal with the Grim Reaper and that the Grim Reaper actually allowed him to come back to life, and that the Grim Reaper is basically taking over his body? I think that's a strong possibility because, as you've pointed out in past weeks, there's some Easter eggs of like the Grim Reaper and different stuff going on. We don't know, of course. It could have just been Wanda, and this is Wanda is the only big bad. But as we speculated, that there might be other big bads behind what is going on, and I think it's very possible that the way that he was able to come back, because clearly Vision has some type of conscience, I mean, a big part of this episode is him, Vision, as he gets mad at the end of the episode, but we'll get into that later. But is him questioning if she is controlling him, and I really don't think she's controlling everything. I think that's been made clear by this episode. She's controlling some of what's going on, but there's some stuff that's just out of her control. And I think the proof that he is conscious and the proof that he then, before this, has that conversation at work with the guy, when the guy kind of snaps out of it and you realize that these other people are being controlled by Wanda, which I think that is true. I think Wanda is controlling those people. I don't think that's the other big bad or whoever is behind it. But I think Vision is conscious, the fact that he could even do that. So I think it's possible that it could be the Grim Reaper somehow being involved. We'll have to wait and see, but I think that's very interesting. Do you think that it's the Grim Reaper, or do you think that it's just her kind of mind controlling him and almost puppeteering him just with his body?
I think it's the Grim Reaper and Mephisto. And I'll get into a Mephisto theory towards the end of this spoiler thing. But the Grim Reaper has been hinted already in the show. I've pointed out the pen that Agnes wears has the Grim Reaper in the middle.
Yes.
It's a symbol. If it's not the Grim Reaper, I don't know what else it is, because it's like it's a figure with what is the like his weapon. I forget what it's called.
Oh yeah, I'm drawing a blank. I know what you're talking about, but
a scythe. Okay, but and then there's two smaller people right beside the Grim Reaper. That meaning that it's probably her kids.
Yeah.
And one little hint that I gathered from this, and I think that really stuck out with the whole dog situation.
Mm-hmm.
So the kids, obviously, when they had the dog,
Yeah, and this is us jumping into kind of the next big plot point.
yeah,
And then there's one other thing I want to go back to that's in between these
dude, the
two
whole
moments. But
episode's a plot
yeah,
point.
yeah,
Like it's just, I don't even know. I don't even know. There's just so many things going on
uh-huh.
at the same time. But with the dog situation, you had both kids who were, by the way, actually, let me go back a little bit because I need to say this like kind of really big, massive like plot point here.
Mm-hmm.
When they were babies, and when Agnes walked in, like already at the jump, like it's just super awkward. She comes in and Vision's like, "No, I don't want you to touch the babies or
Mm-hmm.
whatever," and then she's like, "Can I hold the babies?" And
Right.
then she's like, "Should I run it back?" And then she was literally, Agnes loves playing this role. You can
Uh-huh.
tell that everyone else is trapped in here by Wanda except for Agnes. Agnes is acting.
Yeah.
And she's having a good time doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And when that whole thing happened, she was ready to like literally, she was ready for Wanda to rewind the time for
Mm-hmm.
her to come back in,
Yeah.
and which was cool, but it was just super awkward. And Vision's finally like, he is just dissecting everything now, and things
Yeah.
are coming to the light now.
Yep.
He's picking up on the little things, and it's a lot of things are coming to light now.
Yeah.
And when the kids were crying and Wanda was trying to get them to stop,
Mm-hmm.
she was trying to use her powers to not stop them cry,
Yeah.
but she couldn't do it. Why? Because again, she doesn't have full control of what's happening in
Mm-hmm.
this reality.
Yeah.
Just with the stork, like I said in the last episode or 2 episodes ago, like she couldn't make the stork
Mm-hmm.
disappear. Now she can't even stop her own babies to cry,
Right.
like with her own powers. She was even like, "Why can't I do this? Why
Mm-hmm.
can't I control you?" Well, because it goes back to the whole Mephisto theory of, well, Mephisto is the overarching bad
Mm-hmm.
along with the Grim Reaper,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing is like Wanda, they're wanting to give Wanda a lot of control, but she doesn't have the overarching
Right.
control, and you'll see that throughout the
Yeah. Yeah.
episodes
Yeah.
and throughout especially this last one, that like
Mm-hmm.
it's not just Wanda doing all this.
Yeah.
Like
So back to
she
back to
doesn't
the
have
kids.
control over everything.
Yeah.
But
Back to the kids.
so yeah, so the dog, um, so the kids now have a dog. The kids are like
Right. And
6 or
they
whatever, and
keep growing older on their own.
yeah,
They
and
when they want something that
they
they
yeah,
haven't
and
gotten.
Vision was like, you have to be 10 years old if you want to have the
And
the
then they
dog, and
just
then
grew up. It was hilarious. Yeah.
they were 10, and then later down the road, when Norm got into the picture, when Vision was talking with him, and
Mm-hmm.
things were getting more like iffy and uh, trippier, I guess I
Mm-hmm.
should say. Um, well, that was happening on the dog ran out,
Mm-hmm.
and this is past when Wanda saw the like little jet that came in that was recording and was trying to talk to Wanda.
Yeah. I was gonna go back to
Um,
that in a second, but
oh yeah, go ahead.
yeah. No. So basically, in between the dog moment and the other moment that we were talking about before that, there's a huge moment where they Sword flies another drone in because they figure out a way to get this drone to the atmosphere because the other one that they tried to send died, whatever. And they're able to get it through the atmosphere. They get it right up to her as a mom, and the so the person piloting it is Monica Rambeau. She's just trying to have a conversation with Wanda to tell her what's going on and get her to calm down and say, "Look, everything's gonna be fine. Let's just talk." But then the head of Sword, the other guy that's kind of above her, is like, "Fire!" Like he just wants her gone because he sees her as a threat. And so basically, he says fire, and then we kind of lose footage of what happened of the camera view on the drone, whatever. And next thing you know, Wanda just is pissed off. I did not think this would happen. She comes out of the dimension for a second, and she's in her Wanda suit that we're used to seeing her in the MCU. She's her fiery red eyes. She's just furious, and she basically says, "Do not mess with me and my family." And you can tell how upset she is, and you can tell that she is so just broken, and that she is just like this is the reality that I have created for myself. And if anybody tries to stop this because of how much pain and trauma I've been through, I will kill them, you know. So that was a very powerful, menacing moment. And then she goes back into the dimension, and basically she sets this, with her red hand power, sets this whole thing on the force field that makes it like insanely secure that there's no way anyone's getting in. So back to the dog situation.
Yeah, when the dog ran out, they were going to find him, and when they went out to find the dog, the bushes were like rumbling, and Agnes came up, and she was holding Sparky. Was the dog's name?
Yep.
R.I.P. Sparky.
Yes.
She was holding him in a blanket, and the weird thing is you couldn't see Sparky. I'm just, these are like minor things. I'm like, I think Sparky's definitely dead, but like, you didn't see Sparky. You just saw her carrying
a towel,
like something that would look like a dog.
Yeah, a towel.
Yeah. So they were like, she was like, yeah, Sparky was eating like leaves off this bush. It's poisonous or whatever,
Right.
and it's hinted. Yeah. So Sparky passed away, and the kids were obviously super upset. And this is where I think I'm starting to come to terms. At first, I was like, why would Agnes? Because I think Agnes was the whole reason the dog was in the picture in the first place.
Yep.
Because it's always convenient for when Agnes comes in with a doghouse and like everything else. But why would Agnes bring in the dog and then kill it?
Yeah.
Like off of like not even that many. But my whole little theory on it is that I think it's because she wants her kids to start questioning Wanda, and because at the end of the day, I think she wants her kids, and for the Grim Reaper and Mephisto, I think that she wants her kids to turn against her, and question it to make her seem out of place again.
Yeah.
And you can tell this by the kids are saying, "Mom, you can just bring him back to life." Well, a lot of the theories were Wanda brought Vision back to life. Well, is that the truth? Like, we know Vision's super, we know Wanda's super powerful.
Yeah.
But we've never seen her like she could bring back a life or like bring something to life.
Yeah.
So I think her kids have this internal thought that since she's creating this reality and that Vision's alive, that she can, make Sparky come back alive. But I think in reality she can't. And she was trying to tell her kids that, and her kids got super upset.
Yeah, and you get this very prolific moment of she is trying to explain something to her kids that she has not come to terms yet with in her own life. And it's almost like when a parent has to tell their kids to not do something or tell their kids to whatever, and it's something that they never really wrestled through or got peace with themselves. So it's a very interesting kind of moment that was very prolific to me. So anyway, that was a very interesting moment with the dog, and I think it could hint towards some other stuff. And then the final big reveal, and then we'll keep it pushing into our next segment, is the end of the episode happens, and Wanda and Vision are in this fight because Vision is starting to suspect that she's controlling everything, all this stuff's going on. And she starts to roll the credits. I thought that was hilarious.
That was hilarious.
She started rolling the credits because she was just like, I'm not trying to have this right now, da-da-da. And then it snaps out of the credits, and after they have this fight, she gets Vision to kind of calm down, reminds that he's a father, da-da-da. And then the huge reveal that nobody was expecting that we mentioned at the beginning of the episode. There's someone that rings the doorbell. They ring it twice, and finally at the second bell, Wanda goes to see who it is. And the door opens, and we don't see who it is for a while because you didn't see the person's face. And all of a sudden, we get the camera shot, and it's Quicksilver. It is her brother. And not only is it her, what's the brother's name? Pedro, right? Pietro. And not only is it him, but it is the actor who played him in the X-Men films. And
Evan
you get a
Peters.
hilarious line of the of the lady at the sword situation, watching them, who says they recast Pietro, like that, which was literally what the audience was thinking. But we knew, obviously, because we've seen the X-Men movies, we knew that he was awesome. Which, by the way, I love him as Quicksilver in Days of Future Past. That's like that whole sequence of him in the kitchen is one of the coolest sequences in a superhero movie, in my opinion. But anyway, so this huge reveal that not only is her brother there, but they're bringing the X-Men universe into the Marvel universe. And I was surprised because I thought Kevin Feige made it clear he didn't want to bring the X-Men in until after this next phase of the MCU. Well, that was debunked by what happened. So I thought this was a fantastic moment. It was a character moment. You can tell that she was very impacted. Now the question is it really him, or is it him from a different dimension, or is it a manifestation of what she's kind of seen? That is, we're not sure yet. I'm sure we'll find that out. But this was just a very prolific, powerful moment, I thought. What did you think of the moment? And then we'll kind of move on.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
I also thought that I kind of had heard rumors about it. So I was surprised still, but I was like, all right, they actually did it.
Yep.
So this is where I'm coming back to my Mephisto theories real quick. I think that Evan Peters, his Quicksilver he could be Mephisto or the Grim Reaper.
Why do you think?
From some theories that I got off is I think that this is to hurt Wanda even more. Because now bringing back her dead brother in another way, I think this is just trying to mess with her emotions.
Yeah.
And they're wanting her to get real mad at it. So we'll just see. We'll just see about that. I love Evan Peters' Quicksilver. I wish it was the real quick. I hope it's the real Quicksilver, but like I've heard some theories that that's not, so we'll have to see. But yeah, that whole episode, like there's no like progression to this big point. The whole like every single scene was super important.
Definitely.
And love it. 5 out of 5. Woos.
Yeah.
From that.
Yeah.
From that
No,
episode,
I thought the episode was fantastic, as I shared. And that was such a big moment, the Quicksilver reveal. And I'm curious to see how it's all going to play out. So, if you haven't watched this episode, go watch it. It's fantastic. This show is just getting better and better, like we said. And that's it. So moving right along to our next section.